So this happened in the summer of 2020. I had just gotten out of a pretty rough patch, lost my job due to COVID layoffs, went through a breakup, the whole early pandemic downward spiral. I was 29, jobless, living off savings, and honestly just needed somewhere cheap and quiet to breathe for a bit. A buddy of mine told me about this old place his uncle used to own, up in the Catskills. Said it had been vacant for years and I could stay there for free as long as I wanted, just help clean it up and make sure it didn't fall apart. I jumped on it. Free rent in the woods? Sounded like therapy. So I pack up my old Jeep and head upstate. The drive was peaceful, winding roads, pine trees everywhere, that smell of fresh air you forget about when you live near a city. When I finally got there, the place was, well, not great. A 2-story farmhouse with chipped white paint and a porch that looked like it was held up by hope. But it wasn't falling apart, and it had running water and electricity, so I figured I'd make it work. The first few days were chill. I cleaned, unpacked, made trips into town for groceries. No self-service out there, but the local diner had Wi-Fi, and honestly, being disconnected felt kind of nice. But from day one, there was something off. It started small. I'd wake up in the morning and find things in different places. Like I was sure I left my keys on the kitchen table, but they'd be on the counter. I figured I was just tired and out of routine. One morning, I found a cup in the sink that I know I didn't use. Stuff like that. Minor enough that I chalked it up to forgetfulness. Then came the smell. Some nights, especially when it rained, this horrible stench would drift through the house. It wasn't constant. It would come in short bursts, like a breeze carrying it through the vents. Rotting meat, but with this sour, chemical undertone. I checked the fridge, the drains, even the crawl space under the porch. Nothing. Eventually I just started lighting candles and hoping it would pass. A few weeks in, I started hearing things. Not ghosts or chains rattling. Nothing like that. Just movement. Scraping sounds in the walls. A soft shuffle, like something dragging across the attic floor. And again I tried to be rational. It's an old house in the woods. Probably raccoons or squirrels. I even set traps. Caught nothing. Then, one night around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of water running. Like a faucet. I got out of bed, half asleep, and walked to the bathroom. The light was off, but the sink was running full blast. I reached in and turned it off, trying not to panic. I knew I didn't leave it on. I stood there for a second, in the dark, just listening. That's when I heard it. From upstairs. Footsteps. But not stomping or anything loud, just this soft creak, like someone shifting their weight slowly from one foot to the other. I don't know how to explain it, but the sound wasn't curious. It wasn't a sound you make when exploring. It was familiar. Like whoever, or whatever, was up there knew the house. I didn't go upstairs that night. I just locked my bedroom door and sat on the edge of the bed with a kitchen knife, feeling stupid and scared. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I did a full sweep. Nothing. The attic door was closed. No footprints, no animals, nothing out of place, except one thing. The door to the basement was unlocked. I never unlocked it. In fact, I'd left a heavy toolbox in front of it on purpose because I didn't want to deal with whatever mess was down there. But now the toolbox was pushed aside, like someone had quietly moved it. I opened the door, heart pounding, and went halfway down the steps. It was pitch black. Smelled like wet concrete and rust. Then I heard something move. Not loud, just a shift. A breath, maybe, but it was enough. I backed out slowly, shut the door, and this time I nailed it shut. Literally. Hammered nails into the frame like a lunatic. That same night, I slept in my Jeep. Here's the thing though, I never left right away. I should've. But I'd convinced myself I was being paranoid. I wanted to be tough. Plus, it was free rent and I had nowhere else to go. A couple nights later, I woke up around 2 a.m. to a tapping sound. Like fingernails on glass. The bedroom window. I turned slowly and saw the silhouette of a face. Not pressed up against the glass. Just hovering a few inches behind it. No features, just the shape of a head and shoulders. The porch light was off. There's no way anyone could have climbed up there without making noise. And it stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Then it was gone. I didn't sleep that night either. I packed in the morning and left. But here's the kicker. A week later, I get a call from my buddy. He says his uncle, who originally owned the house, had never abandoned it. Apparently, after a nasty divorce, the guy kind of snapped and just went off the grid. Rumor was he lived off canned food and used the house as a kind of hideout. Said he'd go weeks without seeing anyone. Then, one day in 2012, he just disappeared. Cops assumed he got lost in the woods or something. But now I wonder, what if he never left? What if he just moved downstairs? So, this happened about years ago, back when I was working a seasonal maintenance gig at a family-run resort up in northern Minnesota. The place was small, 10 cabins total, nestled against this glassy, quiet lake surrounded by thick pine forest. My job was chill, clean the grills, fix busted screens, check on the plumbing. Stuff like that. It was peaceful work, mostly solo, which was exactly what I needed after living in a city that never shut up. I got free room and board in cabin 2, which was decent enough. Bugs were annoying, but the lake view made up for it. Most of the other cabins were rented by retirees or families looking to fish and drink beer in peace. All except one cabin 8. Cabin 8 was always locked. I mean always. Like chain padlock on the door, blackout curtains behind the windows, and a weird musty smell that would sometimes drift out when the wind hit just right. I asked my boss about it once, just casually. He gave me this weird half-smile and said, "Oh, that one's just storage." Then he changed the subject so fast I thought he owed it money or something. Whatever. I didn't care. I was there to earn a paycheck and maybe get a tan. But the weird thing about Cabin 8? It wasn't quiet. Every few nights, usually after midnight, I'd hear something coming from inside it. Not voices, nothing that clear. More like shuffling. Heavy steps. Occasionally a dragging sound, like someone moving furniture. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the owners kept old equipment in there. Maybe raccoons got in. But the footsteps were always deliberate. Like someone pacing. One night, I got up to grab a drink from the main lodge fridge around 1 a.m. The path takes you right past Cabin 8. As I passed it, I heard something that made me stop mid-step. A knock. 1, 2, 3. Slow and hollow. Like someone knocking from the inside. I didn't go any closer. I didn't even breathe. Just stood there in the dark with the sound of frogs and distant loons filling the silence. And then, clear as day, I heard a voice. Not loud. just enough to hear. It said, "Let me out." Now, I'm not an idiot. I booked it back to my cabin like I was on fire. Locked the door, turned on every light, sat on the bed sweating like I just ran a marathon. The next morning, I told my boss what I heard. Straight up. I figured he'd say it was an animal or some messed up prank. Instead, he just stared at me. For a long time. Then he said, "You're not scheduled near Cabin 8 anymore. Don't go near it." That was it. No denial. No laugh. Just a new assignment list, printed and stapled to my door like it was nothing. Weeks go by. I avoid Cabin 8. I ignore the sounds. I stop walking the lake path at night. Everything's fine. Until one afternoon, I'm out clearing brush behind the cabins, and I hear something strange. It's a humming sound, almost like singing. I follow it before I even realize I'm heading straight toward Cabin 8's back window. And in that window, through a gap in the curtain, I swear to God I see an eye. Just one. Pale blue. Unblinking. Watching me. I stumble back and drop my rake. But when I look again, the curtain's still. Nothing behind it. I had 1 week left on the job. I kept my head down, finished my work, and counted the days. But the night before I left, curiosity got the better of me. I went out at 2 a.m. with a flashlight and a crowbar. Dumb, I know. But I just needed to see what was inside. The padlock on the door was already broken. It was just hanging there like someone wanted me to come in. Inside, it was pitch black. The air felt wet and thick, like breathing through cloth. I swept the flashlight around slowly. The room was empty. I mean that literally. No furniture. No boxes. No tools. Just wood floors, bare walls, and something scratched into the floorboards in the middle of the room. It looked like writing, but not in English. Just looping, messy symbols burned into the wood, surrounded by melted candle wax and tiny bone fragments. Animal bones, I hoped. I was backing away when I heard it again. "Let me out." But this time it was behind me. Not in the room. Behind me. I turned, but the door was gone. Like the frame was there, but it was all solid wall. No handle. No hinges. Just seamless wood. Then I heard breathing. Close. Wet. Almost wheezing. I don't remember how I got out. Seriously. I blacked out or something. I just remember running through the trees, scratched up and bleeding, no flashlight, no shoes. They found me at sunrise, half a mile from the lodge, passed out next to the boat launch. My boss didn't ask questions. Just handed me an envelope with my check and said, "You're not the first." I never went back. But I still check that resort's website sometimes. They still list 9 cabins. Not 10. Cabin 8 isn't there anymore. But every once in a while, if I scroll through their old Facebook posts from years back, I'll find one with a blurry photo of the lake. And if you zoom in near the tree line on the left, you can see a window. And behind that window, someone's watching. This all started with a favor. A buddy of mine, let's call him Mark, inherited some property from an uncle he barely remembered. An old farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, apparently untouched since the early 2000s. He lives 3 states away and couldn't make the trip anytime soon. So he asked me if I could swing by, take a few photos for the insurance company, just to prove it's still standing. A quick 2-hour drive out into northern farm country. I grabbed my camera, packed a sandwich, and hit the road. Stillwater Road wasn't even on Google Maps properly. Just a pin drop near a narrow gravel turnoff that looked more like a hunting trail than a driveway. Grass waist high. The mailbox was half swallowed by brush and rusted over with no name on it. The house itself didn't look too bad. Sagging, sure, like the earth was slowly trying to eat it. Porch half caved in. But the windows were still intact, and the structure was upright. No sign of squatters or vandalism. Still, something about it felt wrong. Maybe it was just the total silence. No wind. No birds. Even the bugs were quiet. I stepped inside carefully. First thing that hit me was the smell. Mold, dust, and something sour underneath. The living room had a sunken couch, yellowed wallpaper, a broken TV from the 80s. Family portraits lined the walls, big smiles, dated hairstyles, matching Christmas sweaters. But then I noticed something weird. A space heater. One of those newer ceramic ones you buy at Walmart. Looked almost new. Next to it, a plastic water jug. Recently used. Cap still attached. In the corner, an ashtray overflowing with cigarette butts that hadn't fully dried out yet. Not ancient. Days old, maybe? Someone had been here. Recently. I moved down the hallway. The walls were lined with more family pictures, all clearly taken in the same house. But one guy, the same man, was scribbled out in every photo. Always the same thick black marker, always over his face. He wasn't blurred or cut out. Just violently X'd over. Against better judgment, I decided to check the second floor. The stairs creaked with every step, like they were announcing me. Upstairs was just a narrow hallway with 3 doors. 2 open. One shut tight, nailed from the outside with bent old nails and 2x4s. I didn't get close to that one. I started taking pictures for Mark. The hallway. The rooms. The backyard through the upstairs window. But one of the photos made me stop cold. Right there, in the window behind me, was a face. Not mine. Not a reflection. Pale, expressionless. Watching. I spun around. Nothing there. Just the bedroom. Checked the window. No ledge. No attic access. Just the overgrown yard and the woods beyond it. My stomach dropped. Something felt off about this whole thing. I was ready to leave. But I spotted a door under the stairs. The basement. It was unlocked. I went down. Wood steps soft with rot. The air got cold and damp. I swept the flashlight around. Just shelves, ruined cardboard boxes, some old garden tools. But then I saw it. One wall was covered in tally marks. Hundreds of them. Scratched deep into the wood. And beneath it, a crate with a dust-covered cassette recorder. I don't know why I pressed play. Static first. Then a voice. Low. Raspy. Barely more than a breath.
"Stop coming back here,"
it said. I nearly dropped it. Ran up the stairs. Out the front door. As I hit the porch, I caught movement in the rearview mirror of my car. The upstairs curtain, the one near that sealed door, was falling back into place. Someone had been watching. When I got back home, I sent all the photos to Mark. Figured he'd be pissed someone had been squatting there. But his response still gives me chills. That's not the house I inherited. Ours burned down in 2006. I thought he was joking. I checked the address again. Stillwater Road. Same number. Same pin on the map. But when I pulled it up on satellite view, there was nothing there. Just open field. No house. No trees. No driveway. Just empty, overgrown grass.